Hello YouTube and welcome to the comic book channel. Um, Tonight I'm going to be talking about The Amazing Spider-Man number 801. This is writer Dan Slott's very last issue of Amazing Spider-Man, at least for the foreseeable future. Um, he's been on the book for a really long run. I can't remember the exact issue number that he started on, but it's been quite a while that he's been on the book. Um, and this is his send-off. He's finished up. He's wrapped up his last story arc, and this was kind of just like a last issue that had nothing to do with that story arc, that he put together to kind of, say goodbye to the fans on this particular title. So first off, let me start by saying I'm making this video a little late. I meant to make it earlier, so I apologize for the room and for the quality. I know it's not the same that I usually put out, so it looks a little different, and whatnot. So either way, just getting straight into the issue. This is a variant cover. This isn't the regular cover. The regular cover is like a red cover with like some shadow work and stuff going on the cover there. Either way, this is sorry, I'm very sleepy. This is the variant. So the issue kind of starts off with that throwback to the first few Spider-Man stories with Uncle Ben getting. Either way, we start off with that classic Uncle Ben storyline, and then from there we see somebody else's life, and I'll probably just go ahead and get into it. This is going to be a pretty heavily spoiled review here. So we have a character who I honestly don't even remember their name. But he's got somewhere to be. It's very important that he gets where he needs to be, and he keeps saying that, like, I've got to get where I'm going. I can't be doing this right now. That's like a big, running theme in what he's got going on. So he's trying to catch a taxi and go where he needs to go. He stops by a convenience store to get some cigarettes, and the convenience store is being robbed. So now he's stuck in the middle of a robbery, and he's really upset because he needs to go somewhere. He's not even worried about, getting killed or robbed or anything at this point. He's more upset because he's got somewhere to be. So that's, obviously a little odd, out of character for anyone. And then we see there that Spider-Man comes in and saves this man and saves the clerk of the store from this robber. We then see that Spider-Man webs up the robber and leaves. So then the police come to clean up the crime scene, take the robber away, all that stuff, and question the witnesses and stuff like that. And of course, the man is one of the witnesses, so he's being questioned. And again, he's very upset because there's somewhere he's got to be, and he drives that point home again. Like, he's really got to be somewhere right now. Then we finally see what's going on. We see that the man needs to make it to a hospital because his father is dying. It's going to be his last, his final goodbye to his father. His whole family's around. They're a little upset. Where have you been? What's going on? And he's more like, did I make it in time? Is there still time? Yeah, there's still time, but where have you been? And he runs to his father's side and tells him, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm here now. And he gets to tell his father goodbye. Thank God. Because it would have been really sad if he didn't. But he got to. He got the opportunity to tell his father goodbye before his father passes away. And he's there with his family and for his family and all that. Um, cut to him, out in current day or whatever. Because sorry, all of this was like a flashback, I guess. And the man is out with his niece, and they happen to be, somewhere where Spider-Man is, and he calls out to Spider-Man and tells him like, "Hey, thank you so much. You helped me. We've met before or whatever." And of course, Spider-Man's like, "Oh, this is really embarrassing. I'm sorry, I don't remember." And I can't remember if the man tells Spider-Man what happened or not, but it's just, obviously it was important to the man because yes, sorry, trying to recall here exactly what happened. It was important to the man because, he saved his life and he was able to go see his father and tell him goodbye and all of that. Um, so from there, the niece is kind of upset, and he's like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" She said, "It's my first time meeting a superhero, and it had to be Spider-Man. It could be somebody cool like Black Panther, Thor, um, somebody who saves the entire world. It's just Spider-Man." And so the uncle, the man says, "Well, you know, that is somebody's whole world. Whenever Spider-Man saves somebody's best friend or husband or brother or mom or something like that, that's somebody's entire world." And then we get to or uncle, and then she kind of sees what he's talking about. She's like, "Oh yeah, um, you know, you're right. Uh, that is pretty cool," or whatever. So sorry. So my retelling of this book isn't that great, and I understand that, and I'm sorry. And like I said, I'm very tired. Um, but that's what happens in the issue. It's a very nice, very classic Spider-Man issue, and it shows kind of a different side that we all know is there, but you're not really used to because you get caught up in the bigger story and the specific story arcs and what's going on and the drama and stuff like that of these books. But if you think about it, that's what happens. Whenever you have these basically like street level characters, saving a single life or two or whatever at a time. You know, it really affects somebody, and especially a hero like Spider-Man who's persecuted by you know half of the city and by the press and stuff like that and the cops, some of them. Um, but you have these people who know what really happened, and they're like, hey, Spider-Man came in and my brother was about to be killed, and Spider-Man saved him, and they, are now on Team Spider-Man, and they, owe him so much, and they really are grateful for what he's done. And that's just like a nice, sweet story. It's a real Spider-Man story. It's a real Marvel story. I mean, it's really just a superhero story in general, but that's what's great about Marvel books is you get that feeling. It's not something you typically get like off like a Batman book or something like that. Uh, at least to me, it's you don't always feel like Batman's out there saving lives and stuff like that. He's more like punching the Joker or Penguin, and then they come back 5 minutes later or whatever. I mean, I'm sure Batman has stories like that, but I guess what I'm saying is like it really feels like a Marvel story. Like it feels like a personal Marvel story, a very classic, personal, touchy Marvel story that you feel something from, and that's why I like Marvel books so much. That's why I like Spider-Man so much because it's very relatable. Of course, it's a comic book and it's wacky sci-fi stuff and it's stuff that can't really happen, but like, um, but the stories behind them, can and do happen. Some of them. Um, it's just something that to me is a very nice send off from Dan Slott. And I hope he can go do some amazing work on Iron Man. I haven't read any of those books yet, or sorry, that first Iron Man book yet that he wrote. But Dan Slott's a great writer, and he's done some great stuff with Spider-Man. And this was just a nice way to say goodbye from the writer, to the fans of the book. So I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was a really great classic Spider-Man story, and I think it'll, obviously hold up for a very long time. I think it's important that you read this book because it is just a single, one shot and it's done. You don't have to know anything. You can just pop straight in. There's nothing, current about it going on that you need to know. Anything, where you couldn't just pick up this single issue and read it. There's nothing preventing you from that. But yeah, I think it's a great book and I really liked it a lot. I would give it a 9 out of 10 just because it was handled so well and it was written so well. Now, the very, very beginning where we recap some of the Uncle Ben stuff and all of that, like, I mean, I definitely see why that was put in here. But that's really the only part that I could critique and say, maybe that could have been handled a little bit better. But the whole story after that, I think it's perfect. So that's why the 9 instead of a 10. But it's really good. I really suggest you give it a shot, read a copy of it. And that's my review on Amazing Spider-Man 801. Sorry for the room here. Sorry for the bad quality and sorry for being so sleepy. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and I'll see you tomorrow.